Howdy YouTube and welcome to this episode of Gunman. So this video here I'll be taking you guys through the prep and masking on this BMW X3. The color code is A52 and the name of the color is Space Grey. Pretty common color on the BMWs this one. I think it's actually quite a nice color too. But anyway, we'll get straight into it. So as you see, we're painting the driver's side front guard. So right hand front guard or fender, left hand front door, and left hand rear door in and out. We've actually got a new door shell going on the rear door, and then we've got the quarter panel as well. So first up, you obviously saw me giving the entire car clean down, so just using my mixture of 50-50 methylated spirits and water, and then I went over that with a dry rag to clean all the dirt and stuff off the panels. I then went around and taped up all the edges so that when I do my prep work, it's not going to damage the surrounding panels. So quick look at the color here. Won't get too involved in it. I'd actually like to do a specific color matching video again. I do actually have a few, so if you are interested a bit more learning about color matching, then go and watch them. But I would like to revisit that that topic. But yeah, as I said, just a quick look at it for this this video. Personally, don't find color matching too difficult. Some people can struggle with it, and look, every now and then you'll get this color that just does your head in, but very rare from my experience these days. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just going to take time, and some people just still can't do it. Like after years of painting, like they might be able to do okay, but yeah, I don't know. Some people over in the UK, like they just blend everything, and you simply wouldn't get away with that here in Australia. You know, you might fool the untrained eye with a blend, but to the trained eye, you still got to your blend won't blend properly. Even I don't care how good you are at blending, if the color isn't above sort of 90% match, it's just not going to blend that well, and the trained eye will still be able to see it, you know. So a very important stage, I think. I actually find it one of the most important stages. Like someone who's not a spray painter will still see a color difference. Someone who's not a spray painter might not see a couple of denibs. They might not even be looking for it. They might not know they even exist. They might not see a couple of runs. But standing back on and looking at a car, if two panels are different, or if you've tried blending a color that's a fair bit out into the original color, you'll probably still be able to see it. So yeah, very important stage. But anyway, straight on continuing through the prep, I obviously blocked down the primed areas. And for this instance, I didn't really use 180 grit. Like a lot of the time in my other videos, people will be familiar with me blocking with 180 grit. But horses for courses, as they say. This was a small repair. The repair was done quite well. There wasn't like big, thick, chunky orange peel that I needed to block out or anything like that. So a bit of 320 grit, it's all it needed. Yeah, less chance of blocking through and cutting through the original clear on the panel and creating possible shrink back areas. And as for the blend areas, which is what you see me doing now, just using the orbital sander and piece of 600 grit. I'm using the Chicago pneumatic orbital sander. It's got the dust extraction piece on it, but in this video I'm not actually using it. Although since making this video, I have gone down to Bunnings Warehouse and got myself a cheap shop vac, just like an Ozito $65 shop vac. I mounted that to the side of my trolley. My Instagram followers will be familiar with that, and I do have dust extraction. Yeah, it just got to the point where, like, it shouldn't really be the attitude, but I tried getting the other guys to use the vacuums and that, and it just wouldn't happen. No one would use it. So like when you're in the booth painting, you're walking through clouds of dust and through the other people doing their prep work, and it's like, why should I use the vacuum for you if you're not going to use the vacuum for me? I'll just put my respirator on and I'll create clouds of dust, you know. This shop is a bit of a dusty shop because they don't have extraction fans for the prep bays or anything like that. So I'd say it's pretty important that we do use the dust extraction or the vacuum cleaners. But yeah, we've got them now and we're all started to use them. So that's definitely good. But yeah, just continuing on with the prep work. As I've finished doing my 600 over the blend areas, I sanded all the edges down with a piece of 500 grit, And what I'm using now is a piece of 800 grit on those softback sanding sponges, and I'm going to quickly go around all of the shiny spots that you weren't able to get in with the orbital sander, scuff them back, and I'll actually be finishing it off with a piece of grey Scotch-Brite. Some of the real tight edges and that can actually be tricky to get into with 800 grit. So these days I've been using a combination of 800 grit and grey Scotch-Brite. You can give the 800 grit a miss if you like. However, I like to use it because it completely takes that top layer of paint off, and you'll actually remove any orange peel, a little bit of the orange peel. Sometimes even sanding a panel back flat with a 600 grit won't actually remove all of the orange peel. So, but yeah, you'll get most of it out anyway, and sort of gives you like a clean slate to go on top of. But yeah, as you see, just giving it a blow off in between each step. I'm always looking for any stone chips or damage if there was like a dent or yeah, something that the panel beaters might have missed and it's in the area that I'm still going to be able to blend, then I will fix it 9 times out of 10, unless I'm specifically told not to. And even sometimes, like there was a job last week where the boss is like, nah, don't do that. That's not accident related. We're not doing it. It was like 3 tiny little dents. It was well and truly inside. It was like basically right next to the repair, and I'm like, man, I don't care how dodgy you want me to be, but I'm not doing that. Like it literally took 5 minutes worth of extra work, and the car goes out looking nice, you know. But yeah, there are limits to that. Like if it's going to ruin a blend, then we're going to have to paint the next panel. So obviously we're only going to be putting color over half of this door. We're going to be blending our color through that door. If there is damage on the front half of that door that would have ruined my blend, I'd possibly not fix it, because then to blend it, you'd have to go into the next panel, and yeah, you're creating extra work for yourself, and you are costing the boss money. So yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere. So yeah, now it's all prepped up. Gave it a good blow down, as you saw, and got it into the booth. I usually like to have a rag on me when I'm doing my masking, just wiping down those edges to make sure that there's no dust that you're masking over or anything like that. Masking is pretty easy stage for me. Again, I find the entire process of spray painting quite simple, really. It's one of those things that you just break it down into separate procedures. So you've got, let's just say you've got your prep work, you got your cleaning. So first you clean it, make sure you do that right, and then you move on to the next one. You do each little step in the procedure correctly, and it shouldn't really be too hard of a job, you know. I've had quite a lot of time to think about ways to improve my methods when you spend 8 hours at work every single day. Don't just spend it thinking about what you're going to be doing on the weekend. I spend it thinking about how I'm going to improve the quality of work that I do. And if I do make a mistake, I try to figure out why it was that happened, and not like to make excuses. It's like if you got a blend wrong or you get a bit of mottle in the paint, it's like, what did I do wrong that made that happen, you know, and try to improve it for the next time so it doesn't happen again. But yeah, so this is something that most people, but yeah, some people don't mask the top edges of doors on the European cars this way, or the pillars this way. I've found it's the quickest and easiest, and will actually give you some just as good results as spending 10 minutes per door taping those rubbers down and then doing false edge masking or soft edge masking along there, which is what I used to do it. Like I used to always do that, but I have found that this is just as good. And you just make sure that the tape is off that edge a little bit, and when you do paint, you don't just go and smash that paint right up in that corner. You just let a little bit just fade in there. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't even need a polish, but if it did, you just get a little bit of cutting compound on your rag and give it a light polish, bit of a rub, and it should come up pretty good. Just using the 3M purple masking tape. Anything with brand 3M on it, I think everyone knows is going to be top quality product. I've actually never used the AccuSpray. The 3M guys came in the other day and they said that they wanted me to use AccuSpray. They wanted to send it out, so I've had a few people asking me about it, but my thoughts on it without actually using it is it just sort of looked a bit wasteful, you know, like a gun that's sort of made out of plastic and you like they're a throwaway thing after however long. But yeah, I think they were saying you can still get a couple of months out of them, so I think they actually do quite a few different tip sizes, like 1.2, 3, 4, and then 1.8 and 2 mil, I think, maybe even 2.5 mil. So depending on how how expensive they are, it could be quite good because, you know, apprentices can be quite bad for cleaning guns out. And yeah, the primer gun around our workshop, we had to get a new one last week because it was screwed. Like, it never got looked after properly, and yeah, you end up actually getting another Air Gunza AZ3 in 1.8, so that lays the primer down quite nice. It does have a little bit of a smaller fan than some of the other guns, but I find it's all you really need for primer anyway. So just using that another 3M product, the 3M trim masking tape. That stuff is quite good. There's a few other ones on the market. What was the other one? J-tape. I got nothing against it, but we just use the 3M stuff here and can't really fault it. I like how you can actually cut it to longer lengths. Actually, no, the J-tape you can cut to longer lengths. Yeah, the J-tape's got like perforated, I think it's around an inch or a couple of inches. You can split it where you like, so it's actually kind of handy because you don't have to cut it yourself. But haven't used that stuff for quite a while now. So yeah, once all the edge masking's done, just going over and yeah, putting the plastic over the top and cutting it out with my awesome Colad blade. Love these things. Got one in my pocket at all times. Yeah, one of these will last like easily over a month, rather than going through half a box of razor blades. And it's actually just quite handy to always have a blade in your pocket. I don't put the standard blades in my pocket ever since I was like first year apprentice. I think I had one in my top pocket. Always had a bit of sandpaper and I used to put a razor blade in there. And yeah, put my hand in there too quick and pulled it out, and there was a razor blade sticking out the end of my finger. So yeah. But yeah, just taping it down, and it's pretty self-explanatory really, the masking stage, I guess. Some people say that they get a lot out of it, so I'm happy to include it, but as I've said in previous vids, it can be a little bit tricky to narrate because you can see exactly what I'm doing. We're gonna see this video out though, not giving up now. But yeah, I did decide to break this up into 2 videos. Like, I like to include as much footage as I can so that people get to see every stage of the job. But doing that, some of these larger jobs can get a lot of footage, you know. Before edit, you sometimes an hour and a half worth of footage. After edit, this one was 40 minutes, but yeah, so I decided to break it up into 2 vids. Yeah, once all the masking is done, we're going to be wiping it down with some wax and grease remover, otherwise known as Prepsol, over all the painted areas. If there was any brand new bumper bars, I'd be using some anti-static. In this instance, there isn't any new plastic parts, but we do have that new door you'll be able to see on the left of the screen there. So I'll be putting some wet on wet primer over that in the next video. I like using those atomizer bottles and have done for years. Like, I haven't done the old school Prepsoling, like just with rags, wipe on and wipe off, for quite some time now. Although occasionally, like if we get a car yard job in, we've got this specific like Standox prep sole. It's really expensive. It costs like $200, I think, for 5 liters, but it is really good stuff. So we just have that in the 5 liter can. It's not worth keeping in its own atomizer bottle because we don't use it enough. Well, I might actually, if I do get a spare atomizer bottle, I might end up having to put it in there. They always, use brand new clean rag each time you wipe your blends down, specifically your blends. You know, like sometimes if I'm putting paint over an entire panel, you know, I might just grab a new, an old one of these rags, flip it over as you see, like flip over at least a new section, and then wipe it down because you're putting color all over it. But what you can do, as I mentioned in many other videos, you can end up getting primer dust off that rag onto your blend area. So yeah, protect your blends at all costs. Like I've had it happen a couple of times before, not too many times to be honest, but yeah, sometimes you'll get little bits of grey dust or yeah, even any contaminant under your blend area. Not good. As you see there, as soon as I went over that primed section, I flipped that rag straight over to make sure I didn't get any of that primer dust over the rest as I'm wiping over the rest of the panel. That's about it for this video. We're going to pick up straight where we left off in the next one. Hope you enjoyed it. Until then, get out there and paint some shit. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.